Gatorade knows there are many paths to greatness. How you get there is up to you. Sometimes you got to grind it out to get up early and put in the work, even when you're not feeling 100. Sometimes it takes staying focused on a goal, knowing where you want to be, and you'll have to pour everything in to get there. Other times, you just need to dig deep and show some guts to be brave and never let anything stand in the way of what you want to accomplish. Then there are the days you have to get in the gym and see some gains, to put in all the reps and get stronger each day. But whatever path you take to greatness, Gatorade is there to help fuel the journey, because greatness starts with G.
All right, let's catch up on what's been a busy NBA offseason. The Lakers traded for former MVP Russell Westbrook. Loaded. LA now has 4 of the top 8 active players in career points per game, with LeBron, AD, Russ, and Melo. Steph Curry agreed to a 4-year, $215 million extension with the Warriors. Last season, Curry joined Michael Jordan as the only players aged 33 or older to win the scoring title. Fresh off carrying Team USA throughout the Olympics and winning his 3rd gold medal, Kevin Durant signed a 4-year, $198 million extension with the Brooklyn Nets. And Kawhi Leonard agreed to re-sign with the Clippers after opting out of his original contract. Leonard is expected to miss significant time as he recovers from an ACL injury. Max Kellerman, I know Kawhi won't be back for some time, but tell me this, will he win a title with the Clippers?
Yeah, I think eventually he will. I don't think Kawhi's done winning championships, and I think it'll be with the Clippers. He's going to sign long-term there. He is still in his prime. Look, Michael Jordan ruined a lot of guys in terms of comparisons because he came around, and once he hit his prime, he never missed games, and once he hit his prime, he just won the championship every year. And so nowadays, a year goes by, and, like Kobe at first, and then LeBron or something. What happened? You didn't win the championship. Well, you weren't supposed to win the championship every year until MJ came along. And Kawhi, look, he did it to himself. He trolled LeBron and everything and put all this pressure on himself. But Kawhi is being held to that standard. Like, oh, he didn't win the championship. Again, that's 2 years, even though he choked the first year, had a great series, choked into Game 7, but wasn't available this year because of injury. That's going to happen to Kawhi. He's injury prone. He's going to miss some seasons. He's got chunks of seasons. He might miss some playoffs. You're going to have to load manage him, which is going to get on people's nerves. And then he still may be absent for a time. But he has how many more bites at the apple in L.A. for a Steve Ballmer team, a guy who is clearly willing to spend money to make the team good? Paul George is on the team. You have guys like Terrence Mann, ascending young talent on the team. They just drafted Jason Preston, who is the kind of playmaking, set up your teammates type point guard, imaginative playmaker, they're hoping, that they have lacked recently because that's not Patrick Beverley, and Rondo also didn't do the job. When you have Kawhi and Paul George as your cornerstones and an owner willing to spend money and you're going to get 4 or 5 more bites at the apple, I'm going to go ahead and say that a 2-time finals MVP at some point is going to get it done again.
I'm not going to be stupid and say that a guy who's 6'7", 6'8", with his myriad of skills and championship pedigree, who just averaged 30 on 57% shooting in 11 playoff games, ain't no way in hell they going to win a championship. That's just ignorant. I'm not going to say that. What I'll say to you, Max Kellerman, is that I have my doubts, and I have strong doubts, and they're for several reasons. Number one, I'm on the record. I would not give Kawhi Leonard a long-term contract. I don't blame the Clippers if they do, but I wouldn't do it. Because even though I consider him a top 5 talent in the game when healthy, he's not a culture builder. He's a guy that grabs his lunch pail and does what he does. And at the end of the day, when the buzzer sounds, that when tip-off arrives, he shows up. For practicing when you want to, working out when you want to, playing when you want to, and what have you. I just don't think that's a great thing. And from everything that we've been told, that's what he does. Nobody said he's a bad guy. Nobody said teammates dislike him or anything like that. I'm not trying to engage in that kind of cynicism. I'm simply saying, look at the games played. The last few years, he hasn't played more than 60 games. I think the last 4 years. This man takes time off, and he operates to his own beat. And even though that works for him, it compromises everything else. It's similar to what I said, Max, if you recall, when Kyrie Irving was talking about we don't really need a coach. My response was Kyrie might not, because he's electrifying, he's box office. But those other players did. And when Kyrie went down and Kevin Durant was looking for help, it was hard to find because of the lack of an experienced person on the sideline to make sure all of those dudes around them were ready. Now, I think Steve Nash will learn from that and be even better this upcoming year, and I think it helps that he's not going to have Mike D'Antoni on the bench with them, okay? But the bottom line is that was a hindrance. When I look at the Clippers, I think about Kawhi Leonard and how that hinders you. I also think about the fact that I'm thinking about Luka Doncic. And Luka Doncic in 6 of the 7 game series that they played, Max, 31, 39, 44, 42, 29, and 46. Where's the hell is the defensive ace that was Kawhi Leonard to do something about that kind of individual dominance? Because that's what Luka was doing to them, which is why the series went 7 games. We got to pay attention to that. We got to pay attention to significant competition in the Western Conference. The only reason why I wouldn't summarily dismiss what you're saying, Max, is because I happen to think that Ty Lue can make an argument that he's the best coach in basketball.
That's right.
Right now.
I've been saying it.
Because he's that good of a coach, and you've got some personnel around him, not to mention you got over that hump finally getting to the conference finals. The drafting of that kid Keon Johnson I like as well. I'm just looking at the Los Angeles Clippers. Do they have a chance? Yes. Would I bet my money on Kawhi Leonard? No.
Well, in the playoffs, it would be wise to bet your money on Kawhi Leonard because he's one of the all-time great performers. You mentioned Ty Lue. I believe he is the best coach in basketball. We saw it again these last playoffs. If you go back and look at what – now, look, Kawhi, a great offensive player, Stephen A., is going to get his. I don't care who's on him. You put Dennis Rodman on a great – but if Dennis Rodman –
No, you mean Luka Doncic, right? You mean Luka Doncic.
Yeah, Luka. I'm saying you could put whoever you want on a great offensive player. If they got it, there's not so much that can be done, particularly in this NBA, the way the rules are enforced. So do you believe, yes or no, Kawhi is a great defensive player? I believe he's one of the greatest defensive players ever, even if he's not quite what he was a couple years ago defensively. I'll give you that. He's still a great defensive player. You go back and look at the playoff series, like you mentioned, 30 points a game on 55, 58% shooting, whatever. Here is playoff series, just going back to 2017. This is what he averaged in each series. 27, 32, 24, 33, 29, 30, 35, 28, 26, 24, 31. He's doing it on great shooting, and he's doing it with defense. Like, even if you think he's not a culture builder, any great team's going to have at least 2 max contract type guys nowadays, right? Can Kawhi be one of them? Yes, he can.
Yes,
and
he can.
He'll frequently be the best player in the series.
You cannot justify not paying him. Like, I think year to year. Here's what I'm trying to say, Max. I have no problem with Kawhi Leonard's money. I think he deserves every penny. It's the years that I have a problem with him with. Well, because I think durability is a question mark, and I think his level of commitment towards being something more than just a great player plays a role in here. The thing
that's why. That's why I like him, Stephen A., on the long-term deal, because if it was 1 or 2 years, maybe he doesn't win a chip with them. But remember, the Clippers have never won a chip.
Okay, that's fair.
Or even been there. You give him 4 years, I think he can get it done.
Okay, that's fair, but that requires trust. And what I'm saying to you is that when you're in Kawhi Leonard's position, I personally believe you have an obligation to be more than just a great player. You got to be a leader. You got to be the face of a franchise. If LeBron James pulled a portion of the stuff that Kawhi Leonard has pulled,
you never hear the end of it.
We would be all over him. We would crucify him. It's a shame, and Kendrick Perkins was right when he said that. It's a shame that Kawhi Leonard has flown under the radar and has gotten away with some of the stuff that he's gotten away with in hijacking the Clippers organization.
But, Stephen, I think part of that is how he lays low. You know, he's not on social media, doesn't talk much, so he can't fly under people's radars. You know, I just want to mention one thing, guys. He is just 30 still. I mean, when we're talking about guys, Steph's older than him, KD's older than him. I mean, we know the Lakers, so he still does have talent.
He's a superstar talent.
And he's a champion.
He's a superstar. He's a superstar talent and a champion. I'm just talking about when you talk about building a culture long term, you can't have young guys around constantly seeing that stuff. You taking off when you want, you play when you want, and all of this other stuff. That's not a good thing to build around.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Molly Karam Rose, and you are listening to the First Take podcast. With Vroom, you can buy a car entirely online and have it delivered straight to you, so you never have to go to a dealership again. Instead of going to a dealership, you can buy a car from home, a park, or even as you listen to this podcast, literally anywhere else. With Vroom, you can browse thousands of cars in one place, so you don't have to spend your weekend driving out to a million different dealerships. And when you shop on Vroom.com, you never have to haggle or negotiate with pushy salesmen. When you sell your car in Vroom, you get a price instantly, so you don't have to waste time at a dealership anymore. Vroom is entirely online, so next time you need to buy a car, just grab your phone, go to Vroom.com, and check out thousands of great cars. Have a great day.
Camp takes, let's get it. Could we be in for a repeat? According to ESPN's FBI projections for the 2021 season, there's an 8% chance the Chiefs face the Bucs again in the Super Bowl, more than any other potential matchup. Bucs returning a lot of their team from last year. We know all the Super Bowl starters, and of course, they have the GOAT. That is Teflon Tom. Stephen A., what can stop the Bucs from repeating?
Well, there's a few things that could stop the Bucs. A lot of people are thinking Kansas City. I would say long before that. I think you've got the Los Angeles Rams, like we've talked about, with Matthew Stafford now as their quarterback, with some of the requisite weapons that they have, and Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and those boys. I know they lost Cam Akers. That was a loss, but they had another running back there that rushed for over 600 yards. So you got that, and they've got one of the best defenses in the entire National Football League, and an absolute stud in Aaron Donald. And so I think the combination of all of those things leaves them as incredibly formidable. We can't forget the Green Bay Packers, because Rodgers can't make all of this noise, being that bad man that he is. He can't make all of this noise in the offseason and then come in and wet the bed this season, because I think it would validate everything that the Green Bay Packers hinted at when they drafted Jordan Love. So, yeah, he kind of, napalmed that nonsense by going out there and putting forth an MVP season. But now this offseason ensued, and so he's going to be just as motivated as he was in the past, because he's got to show that he didn't make all of this noise for nothing. And he can't attach any validity to what Green Bay tried to put out about him, about his days being numbered. So I think we got to pay attention to Green Bay. I think we've got to pay attention to, obviously, Los Angeles. I can't sniff at San Francisco, because I think their defense is going to be back on track. And whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Nance, I think they'll be in the mix. And, of course, Russell Wilson's in Seattle. So I can see all of those things being a potential impediment to Tampa Bay's success, even though I clearly have Tampa Bay as the favorites to come out of the NFC.
Yeah, I think, look, are the Packers and sure, the Rams, are they threats to the Bucs? Absolutely they are. But if you ask me, what's the thing that can stop the Bucs? I got to choose one. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. Boring, right? Because that's what everyone would say, the Chiefs. But I'm going to do it. The most spectacular player in the Super Bowl last year, meaning the guy you'll remember his actual plays from that Super Bowl, was the losing quarterback. It was the guy who statistically didn't look like much. It was the guy who was running for his life on every play. Remember, both tackles were missing. Both. 3 offensive linemen were gone. As a result, he was facing Patrick Mahomes more pressure on each snap than any player in the Super Bowl who ever lived. He was pressured on a higher percentage of snaps than anyone ever. And, of course, they only had to bring 4. They didn't have to bring any extra guys. And so no one was ever open. And yet Mahomes was doing superhuman things. It was not human what he was doing. Now, what did the Chiefs do in the offseason? Did Patrick Mahomes have to go around waving around, you better get me an offensive line? No. They brought in Orlando Brown, who's an elite left tackle. They signed Joe Thuney, who is an elite left guard. They brought in Blythe from the Rams, Stephen A., from your Rams, who's competing among some other candidates to play at center. Remmers is still on the right side. They completely revamped their offensive line at the highest possible level. The Chiefs are the ones who pose the biggest threat because they have Patrick Mahomes, who has a great offensive line on paper now, and an embarrassment of riches in terms of weapons. The answer is the Chiefs.
Well, they're highly motivated. I just don't know if it'll get to that point. I'd love to see a rematch. based on
Yeah.
what you just highlighted. I'd love to see a rematch in the
Absolutely,
Super
yeah.
Bowl. I really, really would, because there's no way in hell that Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Kansas City are going down like that 2 years in a row. Even if they met in the Super Bowl and Tampa Bay were to beat them, I predict it would be significantly closer than the romp we saw this past Super Bowl.
Speaking
I'll
of
tell you that
motivated,
much.
no one's going to be more motivated than Aaron Rodgers, right? This is why they're going to have a hard time. You bring up the Rams, and we know why, Stafford and the defense and the whole thing. Aaron Rodgers, after everything that just happened, after the fact that he got the ball taken out of his hands
Mahomes,
last
too.
year, Aaron Rodgers, but no one took the ball out of Mahomes' hands with the game on the line and handed it to Tom Brady. And every year Rodgers is getting closer with LaFleur, right? He's looking better. The team is getting a little closer. It's on in the NFC.
Express is all new and made to express you. From the stretchiest jeans in the game to confidence-boosting suits that feel like sweats, discover new arrivals at Express. Shop at express.com or in stores.
Jalen Hurts continues to try to win the starting job for the Eagles, but our own Tim McManus said that the second-year quarterback struggled this weekend, noting Saturday wasn't his best day. Here's Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni last week on the delay to name him the guy.
What's your hesitation potentially naming him the starter for week 1?
Yeah, there's just no rush there on having to do that, and we just want him to continue to impress and show like he has, and yeah, we're just not there yet.
Stephen A., I find this really curious. Why haven't the Eagles named Hurts their starter yet?
Because Nick Sirianni doesn't know what the hell he's doing. That's why. And I say that not talking about football. I'm not talking about football when I say he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I'm not qualified. Other than measuring the results of what I see, I'm not qualified to sit up there and say whether he knows or doesn't know football. He was an offensive coordinator in Indianapolis. He's now the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Clearly he knows something about football. I want to be clear. When I say he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, I'm talking about as it pertains to dealing with the city of Philadelphia. That I am an expert on. 17 years in Philadelphia, Philadelphia Inquirer. I'm an expert on the media in Philadelphia. And let me tell you something right now. When you sit up there and you look at the media and you talk like you two-faced it or you talk like you full of it, it will come back to haunt you. Who the hell don't know that Jalen Hurts is going to be starting over Joe Flacco? Joe Flacco hasn't been around in 3 years, really. He was 0-4 last year as a starter for the Denver Broncos. The couple of years prior to that, I mean, we know Lamar Jackson basically took his job. I'm just looking at some of the numbers here, okay? Over the last 3 seasons, Joe Flacco, all right, is 6-15 as a starter. He's a stationary target. He's not what he used to be. All right, it's a long time ago since he won the Super Bowl championship. His day is come and gone to a lot of people. He's lucky to still be in the NFL in some people's eyes. I think that he's better than that. He's definitely a serviceable backup. There's something to be said about a veteran that has an arm that can throw the football and knows how to read defenses. We get all of that. But there's nobody worth their salt that believes that after you trade Carson Wentz, you're going to start the season in Philadelphia with Joe Flacco. So Nick Sirianni telling the audience that, first of all, you're calling out your quarterback and basically creating or planting significant seeds of doubt with the viewing audience. But because you did that knowing that Jalen Hurts is going to be your quarterback, all the Philadelphia media is going to do is assume that every time you open your mouth, you're full of it. And as a result, they're going to come with more heat. And they're going to probe more and more and more. And they're going to dig into your locker room in ways they don't do in Indianapolis. It was a mistake by Sirianni to say that. And that's what I mean when I say he don't know what the hell he's doing. He don't know who he dealing with when it comes to the media in Philadelphia. But he about to find out. I'll tell you that much.
Look, it looks to me from where I'm sitting like Hurts must really be struggling, like must have had a really bad day because, right, who doesn't know that he's going to start over a guy who I think made a Pro Bowl with the Baltimore Colts, Stephen. I mean, talk about Joe Flacco.
It's been a while.
He's been around for a hot minute.
He's been
around for a hot minute. and
Baltimore Colts.
Yeah, let's be honest. It was in Baltimore, but I think it was with the – look, Flacco lost his job to a running quarterback who was taken at the very end of the first round and obviously impressed, and people felt in the organization this is the way forward, and clearly it was. Their offense exploded as soon as they made that move. There's a reason Jalen Hurts was taken in the middle of the second round. There's a reason he lost his starting job in college. He has potential, but it is not to the point where that guy, that's a surefire NFL star. With the consistency as a thrower, still has to be there. And he's shown flashes. I'm thinking about the loss to Arizona last year, Stephen A. Not even the win against New Orleans, I think it was, right? Memory serves. It was the loss to Arizona where I was like, oh, wait a minute. He's hanging in with Kyler Murray. He's doing some things that really look like he has upside. I mean, that's why you get a quarterback in the middle of the second round. That's why a guy who's winning at Alabama but doesn't keep that job, and then, that's the reason that stuff happened to him. And I think that's what we're seeing now as a pro. There is reason to be optimistic about Jalen Hurts based on what we've seen last year. But he is a long way from a sure thing. And I think, Coach, whether or not, I'm sure you're right about, don't mess around with the Philadelphia media. You would know. But maybe what Coach really has in the forefront of his mind is Hurts needs to be still competing for everything he gets because he's not there yet. And that would match up with his history.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, as a member of the Philadelphia media for 17 years, it's an incredible sports town. I still got a lot of friends there, obviously. It's hardcore. We don't play. And when you look the media in the face and everybody knows that Jalen Hurts is your starting quarterback, but you do something like that, what it says to them is that they can't believe you when you open your mouth. And because of that, they're going to dig, and they're going to go around you to get information. Not to say that they wouldn't do it anyway, but you need to be the kind of person that they can look at and say, yeah, okay, I can trust what he's saying. And remember, they're coming off of Doug Peterson. And even though he's no liar or anything like that, he was compromised because obviously he wasn't on the same page as Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman, who was once cast aside for Chip Kelly by Jeffrey Lurie, the owner, ultimately was brought back and reinstalled into his position. So you had a whole bunch of stuff that was going on in Philadelphia throughout the years that compromised Doug Peterson. Nick Sirianni doesn't have that problem. You just going up in front of the press and talking that gibberish. And when you do that with talk radio and the reporters in Philadelphia, you are begging for trouble.
Question. Let's say you say, Coach, you're a reporter in Philadelphia. You get Sirianni alone. You say, Coach, I'm just off the record. Why not just say Jalen Hurts is the starter? Because obviously he's going to start. And he tells you something like, the way he's been looking in practice, I can't do that. Like in the NFL, you really do have to earn it. This dude is not a surefire future star, and he has not earned it yet. So that's why he said at the press conference, if you recall the wording he used, he goes, we're not there yet. He just said there's no rush on that yet. Let's say he's told you something like that off the record. What would you say to him then?
First of all, I would say to him, that's still stupid. Number one. Number two, I would say this is the reason why. They just traded Carson Wentz, bro. You start Joe Flacco. That's an ultimate indictment against the organization that drafted him, which is this organization that just hired you as the head coach. You will know good and damn well when game one of this season comes, barring injury, Jalen Hurts is going to be your quarterback. So why not just sit up there and tell us, we need him to be better. He's got to step it up because he's our guy, as opposed to implying that he's not, because then you got everybody saying, well, what the hell is Carson Wentz not there for? You got Joe Flacco.
All right.
Fair enough, although trading Carson Wentz, they were lucky to get something back for him. You know where I'm with Carson Wentz.
Let's get to another difficult market that you're familiar with. Hold up, Stephen A. Let me keep it moving here. Now to New Jersey, where Jets rookie quarterback Zach Wilson is primed to be the starting quarterback and trying to get acclimated to the NFL. The Jets had open practices to the fans this weekend, where our Jets reporter Rich Samini says Wilson had a couple bad decisions. Here's Wilson on his tough practice.
I have high expectations for myself and for this offense, and I got to lead those guys. I got to make better decisions, but that's why this isn't game one. That's why we're doing this, and I understand that. Of course, I'm gonna be frustrated at myself, but I'm gonna go back in the film room and find out what I can learn and get better from.
All right, Max. Sam Darnold didn't work out. Will Wilson end the Jets' quarterback woes once and for all?
I believe he will. Listen, how much Zach Wilson did I watch? How much BYU football did I watch, Stephen A., that year?
Lot.
But I will say, once I started hearing him say, they're going to take him over Justin Fields, at first I was outraged, right? Because what you don't know about, you're like, wait, when you're familiar with someone who's really good, and I thought Fields was going to be really good and obviously the second pick. So I watched a lot of YouTube stuff, Stephen, I know you did too, on Zach Wilson. And I was like, my jaw dropped. Oh, my God, this guy is crazy. It jumps out at you. It's crazy good. And I was very high on Zach Wilson, and I remain high on Zach Wilson. Stephen A., I think he is the right pick for them. And the left side of the Jets line should be great, barring injury, for like 10 years. They really did a great job there. But I got to tell you something. Something that Mina Kimes said on this show, Stephen A., has stayed with me because no one's paying closer attention than she is. And she said that the offensive line at BYU was crazy good and not exactly facing the most intimidating defenses. So Zach Wilson had a lot of time to do all that improvising and off-platform stuff that he practices, right? He wants to make those Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes throws sometimes. And so I went back and looked, and she was absolutely right. Like, he had a disproportionate advantage in college on the offensive line that even as great as the Jets have done on the left side of their line, they'd have to do that on the entire line the way the Cowboys had it a couple years ago in order for him to have that kind of same proportional advantage in the NFL. So I do believe in Zach Wilson. I think he's the real deal. But I'm not going to pretend, and you know how we are now, microwave media. You get a little, oh, wait, he didn't look good in practice. He's so young. But I'm not going to pretend like that stuff doesn't have my eyebrows raised. The upshot is I still believe in him, yes.
First, a couple of things. First of all, thank you for bringing up Mina Kimes because I think she's doing an outstanding job. Boy, does she know her stuff. She's been harping on this about the offensive line at BYU with Zach Wilson for a long time. She's been saying that from day one. So let's give props where it's due. It ain't just some stuff she mentioned lately. She mentioned that stuff weeks before he was drafted. And she's absolutely right. He was sitting back taking pictures, calling the family, saying where they wanted to go out to dinner and all of this other stuff before he threw a damn pass and wasn't getting touched. That's going to be significantly different in the National Football League. Having said all of that, I'm not going to look at this brother that from in NFL parlance has just gotten out of diapers for crying out loud. I mean, my God. I mean, he just got there, okay? Oh, yeah, a couple of things in practice. What you think? That's what happens. That's what happens when you learn. Go look at what Peyton Manning went through his rookie year in the NFL. He just got inducted into the Hall of Fame and is universally recognized as the greatest regular season quarterback of all time and one of the greatest quarterbacks who ever lived. Stuff happens, so let's not overreact to all of that stuff. Here's what I would tell you about Zach Wilson that everybody needs to keep in mind. It's not him. It's Salah, the head coach. Mm-hmm. Remember, he's got a defensive background. Max, you spoke about that one time, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
You were talking about some of these NFL teams and why you wanted to hire an offensive coach. Because even though defensive-minded coaches really know what the hell they're doing, and defense obviously wins championships, sometimes they're a bit challenged when it comes to coaching the offensive side of the ball. So it's about bringing in the right people and making sure that they do the kind of things they're capable of doing. When I look at the Jets offense, oh my God, let me tell y'all this right now. Can I just read some of these names, Max? Because, Max, we watch football all the time. Molly, you watch, Miss Fantasy Expert cheating with our fantasy football stuff and all of that stuff like you do, okay? We see all of this stuff. Can I just read y'all some of these? And I apologize for if I mispronounce any names. Damn it, I haven't heard these names before. I don't know. Okay, your running back, Lamical Perrin, that's how it's spelled. If I pronounced it wrong, my apologies. It's not intentional. Okay, I got, all right, you got the Corey Davis that came up from Tennessee. I get all of that. Denzel Mims, All right, Jamison Crowder, we know him from Washington, okay? I mean, Vincent Smith, I know Kenny Smith's brother, Vincent Smith from TNT. This Vincent Smith I never heard of before. I mean, I'm just saying, you got Keelan Cole from Jacksonville, who's, I'm just saying, it's like, you're just
Mike
looking
Greenberg,
at them.
Adam Schefter, very angry at you right now.
Who are these people? I mean, why the hell isn't Max Kellerman on this roster? Why isn't Mike Greenberg? I mean, he loves it. Why isn't he on this roster? I mean, I don't know these people. So I'm just saying, I'm like, Zach Wilson. I mean, don't you have to have somebody to throw it to?
Yeah, he ain't going to end their woes this year.
I don't know these people.
Second quote of the day. I don't know these people.
I don't know these people.
Stephen A., what's your gut say?
Stephen A's feeling on the Jets. I don't know these people.
Not this year, but going forward, does your gut say Zach Wilson's going to be the answer or not?
I think that he's going to be the answer for the Jets. I think Salah is definitely the answer at coach. Yep. I think that he's the right man for the job. I got a lot of belief and a lot of faith in him. But I think, like most defensive coaches, their priority, and I never fault them for this, their priority is to live up to their signature first. Mm-hmm. So if I come in, because I got a job as a stout defensive coordinator, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that my defense is tight, and then I'll address the other stuff. And I think that's what we can expect from the Jets this year.
But, Stephen A., I just had to say this. You are 100% right. Since 2000, the Jets have used a first or second round pick on 7 quarterbacks, guys. That is unreal. There is going to be pressure on this quarterback at some point. That has to stick. Obviously, that's the most during that span.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. And I bet it can be hard work. You know it's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
Math says when 2 great things come together, they make something even greater. For instance, 1 + 1 = 2. Simple, right? How about this? Trunk plus hot dog equals tailgate. Or turf plus dance floor equals end zone. And when you add friends plus football, it equals ESPN Fantasy Football. It's as simple as that. ESPN Fantasy Football with insights provided by IBM Watson. Sign up now at ESPN.com/fantasyfootball.
The 2021 induction class wants to thank those previous inductees who gave long-winded acceptance speeches, forcing us to have a whopping 6 minutes to recap our football careers. I want to give a special thanks to my old rival, Ray Lewis, for being here tonight. Ray just finished giving his speech that he started in 2018. And speaking of rivals, my good friend Tom Brady is here tonight. By the time he is inducted, By the time Tom Brady is inducted in his first year of eligibility in the year 2035, he'll only have time to post his acceptance speech on his Instagram account.
Peyton Manning is the best, and he's legit funny, as entertaining as ever during that Hall of Fame speech. And what I loved about it is you had the dichotomy of the tears and the laughter. Would expect nothing else. Stephen A., what stood out to you the most?
Peyton Manning, of course. I mean, obviously, Megatron gave his speech, and it was really, really nice. I love seeing Jimmy Johnson up there. Reminded me of how shameful he is that he still isn't in the Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor. As of yet, he was in the Hall of Fame first. Of course, seeing the emotions from Charles Woodson serenading his mother was very, very touching. But in the end, Peyton Manning's Peyton Manning. And I've never gotten over seeing him on Saturday Night Live. Talk about 5-0s coming 5-0. It was hilarious, you know. He was hysterical, you know. It was he trying to jack the car and stuff like that. 5-0, 5-0. It was hysterical. It really is. Peyton Manning's really, really funny. And even though there was some emotions, obviously, when he was talking about his dad, because when you think about a father, that's what that's what really touches your heartstrings when you see the sons and Archie Manning's relationship with his children and how he raised them and how they're such class personified. They really, truly are the first family of football. And to Tom Brady to be in attendance, that was incredibly classing and touching on his part. But in the end, with Peyton Manning, that's the beauty of him. You expect knowledge, you expect seriousness, you expect a lot of quality elements, but also you expect a lot of humor. He always makes you smile. He always makes you laugh. And he is just a star in his own right on so many levels. And it was really, really good to see him inducted.
When Peyton Manning was done giving his speech, the way everyone, I think, watches TV nowadays, you're on social media as you're doing it, and your social media exploded, and everyone was saying the same thing I was thinking. That's a future NFL commissioner.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is, Stephen A., Peyton Manning has command. He knows how to command an audience. He has command as a performer. And I think a lot of what people responded to positively, people were acting like it was so brilliantly written. At the end, to me, to tell you the truth, it was a very long, tortured metaphor. It lacked emotion at the end to me, and I didn't find it particularly artful at the end. And it was, I thought, riddled with cliches. But that's kind of what you want in a commissioner. You want a commissioner should be able to command the audience, should be smart, and should know how to give you a good feeling without sometimes saying too much that goes out of the kind of parameters of cliche. Mm-hmm. I compare that to Charles Woodson. When I watched Woodson, I didn't think, oh boy, there's the future NFL commissioner, but that was the most moving speech to me. You mentioned it. He started out with his mother, but the execution throughout that speech, precisely because it seemed so heartfelt. The way he had everyone stand up and gave credit to everyone who helped get him there. I thought there wasn't a false note in Charles Woodson's speech. It was totally authentic. I thought it was full of emotion, and that's the one I'm going to remember. Yep. But I do think, I agree with people who watched Peyton Manning and said, that guy could be commissioner one day. It almost, Stephen A., felt to me like an audition for the role eventually.
Guys, let me get something else in here with the Manning family. So Peyton, not the only Manning to thrive over the weekend. His brother Eli tweeting this: Peyton is not the only Manning to win an award today. Abby and I, we won the consolation bracket of the B League in mixed doubles tennis. This day just became even more special for the Manning family. Don't tell Peyton. I don't want to take anything away from his big day. Guys, sometimes I fake laugh at stuff, honestly. I'm telling everyone because we're on TV and I want to be nice, especially with you two. But that was legitimately funny. You have to love the Manning. Max, do you think Eli will be the next one inducted into the Hall of Fame?
I just love the shade, Stephen A. Sometimes with you guys, I fake laugh to be nice. But Eli is funny. Eli is actually funny.
I didn't say to you guys.
She's fake laughing right now. I don't know if that's a genuine. I'll never know again.
Whatever.
Look, yes, Eli's going to make, I don't know if the first ballot, but Stephen A., he was an Iron Man. He played in a place that's not easy to put up numbers, and his numbers don't look great. He was an Iron Man who won 2 Super Bowl MVPs, who is, by the way, I keep bringing this up, 538 did a study. Who's the most clutch quarterback of all time? Eli won it by so much, they redid their methodology. They said, no one's this much better than everyone else in the clutch. And this time it was much closer. Joe Montana second, Eli Manning first. If you are arguably the most clutch quarterback who ever lived, you have 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and you were an Iron Man, you're in the Hall of Fame.
You're probably right, Max. Just as long as you're not saying he's first ballot, which you said. He's not first ballot. You got a 500 record, 117 and 117. You led the league in interceptions on 3 separate occasions. Your career completing percentage is at 60%. Those are not Hall of Fame numbers, but you are a two-time Super Bowl champion. You're a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, and you did deliver in the clutch. And I think when you take that into consideration, along the fact that your last name is Manning, it certainly doesn't hurt. I definitely see that. And as it pertains to Molly fake and laugh, you might do that with you, but she's always looking at me like I'm crazy. It's not that she's laughing at me. She's just looking at me like, oh, my Lord. What is up next?
I have to be nice because of you guys. Next? I have to laugh at
what's
other
wrong with
people's
Stephen
jokes.
A? She looks at me like, what's wrong with Stephen A? That's what she says. So it's good.
That's
true. Never trust
That's how I like
again.
it.
That's
how I like it.
Oh, my goodness. You're so sad. I can never win with men. Can someone please tell me how to deal with them?
You have a hard time winning with men. I know. Story of your life.
I do.
Story of your life.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.